This video is brought to you by Misty Mountain Gaming. Misty Mountain Gaming offers premium tabletop role-playing game products and accessories to last a lifetime. Join us and let the journey begin at www.mistymountaingaming.com. Misty Mountain Gaming, where dice are life. But for now, we're going to be talking with an amazing guest coming back to the show. Fantastic actor. You've seen her in a number of things. Currently, she is playing Joy on Outer Range. Season 2, all 7 episodes dropped on Prime Video just recently, just a number of days ago. And I know a number of you have already, binged it, but there's some of you who probably haven't checked it out yet. You definitely should. Please welcome back to the program, Tamara Podemski.
Woot woot! Hello! Happy Friday!
Happy Friday! Good seeing you again.
Yeah, I know. Thanks for having me back.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Of course, Outer Range. It's in its second season. In the first season, Joy, she was pretty much like straight laced, trying to get her. She was trying to get that sheriff's position. She was focusing on that. Kind of zipped up. But then, this season, she's a woman out of time. She is like 1886. It's a whole new ball game for her. You get action, you get big moments. This is like the season where like Joy steps up.
Totally. Yeah. This is like, it was a dream to find out what was in store for her in season 2. And, I get very attached to my characters. I love her very much. I believe in her very much. I always thought that we were meeting Joy like 10 years before the amazing woman and leader that she was going to become. But we didn't have to wait 10 years. She just had to travel back in time and we could like fast track her becoming the badass warrior that she's meant to be.
No, 100%. That's the thing. She's like, watching season 2 and the journey that you take, and especially obviously, your highlight episode, as it were, it was awesome to watch and just, see you kick ass,
Yeah.
And I was like, especially like not to give too much away for people who still haven't seen it yet, but, obviously when you ride away to take care of business, I was like, that's right. And it paid off very well.
Oh, yeah.
That was something to watch.
Oh, it was something to play for sure. And for them to be able to trust me. We had discussions about it. So, I don't think you can just like give that to somebody and they don't want to fight. They don't want to, have hours of rehearsal to do those stunts, and they don't want to ride horses. But I asked for all of it. I was like, I want to ride, I want to fight, I want to do lots of stunts, I want to fly through a hole. I want to I was up for it all. So maybe, I asked for it. And thankfully, when it was presented to me, like I could actually say, you can ask for a lot of things, they don't actually give it to you. And this one was like, they gave me an opportunity to do all the cool things that I've ever wanted to do on TV.
Oh my God, yeah. But what's funny for me though, because in that big episode, in episode 4, things stands, and again, enjoy it, love it. It's like its own little mini movie. It's fantastic. But what I really enjoyed about it, what really like hit me, was at the beginning when Joy is sitting there with Falling Star and they're talking about Michael Jackson. And I'm like, okay, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, this totally makes sense to me. Because if I was somebody that went back in time, and then somebody else who went back in time showed up, I'd have all these questions about what happened to this person, what happened to that person. And so just the idea of like, wow, for 4 years, they were probably in between handling, relations between people and all that sort of stuff.
Business, but then they had a lot of catching up.
Talking about pop culture and everything.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was what I also loved about it, is that, there's some serious drama and some serious action, but it's also like you get to see these two women who obviously built a very tight bond and friendship. And what was all the other time, right? Like this is still a community of just, of families and people living together. there we wanted to give a sense of what that fuller kind of dynamic was of what we do want to talk. And it's fun. You see laughter. That's what I also loved. I loved how much laughter and kind of love was around in that settlement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's that brings up a really great point about portrayals, and showing, you know, the different nations, and we're starting to see this a little bit more. It's not
Mhm.
obviously to a level that is, required in the
Mhm.
world today, but we're starting to see a little bit more. Is that something that was, like with your experience on set, was taken very seriously, and as treating it with the respect that it deserved?
Oh, absolutely. Because it's not just, you can't just, I mean, some shows do just like throw it in for the sake of like, let's get some representation of this group or that group, and you're just ticking boxes. But no, this is a muscle. Like this was a full effort from the top of Amazon that filters all the way through so that we have Indigenous writers, Indigenous directors, Indigenous directing, every director had a mentee. So an Indigenous mentee. So that this idea of mentorship and growing the community, we had Indigenous stand-ins, 80 background performers, but all, Shoshone and other local ones. We were shooting in New Mexico. It's
You guys
Indigenous.
had a Shoshone
We
language
had a
consultant
Shoshone
too, right?
language speaker who helped us with the language. I mean, it's it's lip service when they do just throw it in, and there's no support system in place to actually enable or work towards success. It successfully happens when everybody believes that this is for the greater good. And it also wasn't just to do that. We were telling a story. Like that
Mhm.
was, it all just came back to how do we deepen the story? And yes, it's an episode for joy, but in the end, I was like, what a gift for Royal. Like how that to for him not even to, we don't see Royal in that, well, we don't see present day Royal in that episode, but like what a gift to give a backstory of, people might have really complicated feelings for him because he's kind of like our anti-hero, but then we give him this backstory where all you want to do is love him more and have
Yeah.
more compassion for him.
You want to
So
give him a hug,
like
totally.
it's like on the surface, it's all about joy, but but really for the viewers who are really connected and attached to these characters, we're only deepening the story. And I think when you go in with that intention and instead of just trying to get the brownie points for representation, you end up just making better work.
No, totally. And that's what I like about this show is the layers. Is that of course it's like the thing that brings people to the dance
Many,
is
many, many layers.
many layers. Exactly.
I
The thing that
know.
brings people to the dance is like, oh, there's a portal.
Yeah.
Stuff happens, can take you to the past, take you to the future. Who knows what's going to happen with that? But then it's really just a story about people, uh, race relations,
Yeah.
land
Family.
disputes. Land
Yeah.
disputes is a big deal on it. Like so
Yeah.
many things on this, man, that it's just, I was like, it's such a hard hitting drama for something that does have that kind of sci-fi fantasy element to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why I'm always just so impressed by our audiences, for keeping up. Because it is hard work, and that, they're so committed to first of all trying to figure it out, but also there's an allowance that like sometimes we don't have to answer everything. I mean,
Hmm.
are we answering all the questions in the world right now or in your own personal life right now? No, sometimes you just like you live it the best way you can. You find the people who make you stronger. And so I really love that part of allyship that happens in there, in the show, of just how things break apart, like where the weak links are. And I think that teaches us a lot of who we are as human beings and what we have to do to reinforce our own bonds and communities.
Yeah, there's even there's a great moment, when Joy is talking to the government guy, and he's, at the photograph, and he's like given the highfalutin, white man speech,
Yeah.
and she's just like, it's
Yeah.
not the way you think it's gonna be, bro.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just like the wake up call. Yeah. And I think, that's a really, that's what, also the benefit you get from a time travel show is we know the truth being from today. and you can see how consequences play out. You can see how decisions play out. We can, and so that's also just like everyone can relate to that. If you were to go back and give yourself some advice, or if we just as a society knew more back then of how things were going to turn. I think it's always like it's that we can all relate to that.
Oh,
Yeah,
totally.
and it's always the would we learn?
I know.
That's always the thing about shows like this, and like that moment I was just like,
Yeah.
but because later on we get another little layer of the government guy, and you're like, no, he's not learning at all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, would we learn if if I went back in time and I tried to explain to people like this is what's going to happen in 50 years, we need to avoid it, and they'll be like, okay, crackpot, move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Or would they listen?
Yeah. I mean, it goes to, that other question of, when are we all like, are we actually all just capable of knowing what we know at the right time? That it's always like, when you judge yourself for stupid decisions that you've made, but you forget that when you made that decision, all you had was the information that you had at that time. And so I do think it's a compassion practice, that watching this show of feeling everybody, and kind of they're all dealing with the limitations of their limited worldview.
Mm.
And jump into the hole and expand your perspective. And
There you
it'll
go.
change your mind about some things.
Go jump in a hole and expand. That's what I say. But the way the season ends up, there's now kind of like, I wouldn't say a friendship, but like an understanding now between
Yes.
Joy and Royal. That it's
Yes.
like they, especially in that last episode with everything that was going down, it was kind of like Royal knew, okay, Joy's going to handle this. Joy's got my back, sort of thing. What was it like to get to that area? Like having these characters get to have so much trust. What was it like to play that out?
It was really beautiful. And I like how you said, like, they're not really friends. And I keep on saying that too. Like, they're never going to be besties.
No.
But they have certainly shared something that will, I hope only allows them both to do what they want to do. Royal save his family, and Joy, I always feel like Joy wants to save the world. She wants to make everything right. She wants to correct all injustices. I think it was really beautiful to build with Josh, because it's the balance of, trust, not trust, but connected. Now there's like connected forever. And it's a little sticky. And missing, like she needs him very much in those, in those initial days upon returning. Oh, we're not giving anything away. But like she, there's a little bit of dependency that happens.
Yeah.
And, those relationships are never really, the healthiest kinds of relationships.
Mm.
They both need each other very much right now.
No, I
Oh,
hear you.
that's fair. But Tamara, I'm going to just shift gears slightly because I'm very curious about your hat. I see the hat you're wearing. Like, what does the symbol mean?
These are Anishinaabe syllabics, so the writing system, it was brought to the Ojibwe people, to many of the nations in Canada, by the missionaries, because we were an oral culture, so we never had. So these are syllabics, and this is the Shine Network, which is an Indigenous female-led organization media network in Canada that my sister happens to own. So this was one of the swag things I got. But it is the Shine Network. And if anyone wants to check it out, they have incredible programming, incredible learning modules for anyone that is interested in some of our Indigenous practices, protocols, some of our leaders in media and in the world of storytelling. It's a great resource for that. Thanks for letting me give a shout out.
It's just I noticed it, and I was wondering if that's what it was, because I'm not familiar with the language, so I
Yeah,
wasn't.
there's also, I don't know if you can see that too. It's my tattoo, also syllabics.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, it's
very
like
nice.
each symbol, hence being called syllabics, each symbol represents a syllable of the sound.
Oh,
Ah,
Yeah,
well, there you go. Totally.
nice.
there you go.
That's pretty awesome. Well,
Now we're learning. That's
we are, well, that's the thing that I like is I find that anytime we have any of the Podemski sisters on the show, we learn something. That's what I like.
yeah.
That's the point of it all. Entertain,
Yes.
but also educate.
Infotainment. That's something we've always
Infotainment,
strived for, and
yes.
I want to thank you for bringing that to us tonight. Tamara, I want to thank you so much for coming back on the program again. You were amazing in Outer Range, and people should
thank
definitely check out the show if you haven't. If you're a Western fan,
Mm.
it's a little crazy for you, but I think you're gonna like it. If you're a sci-fi fan, it's a little crazy for you, but I think you're gonna like it.
Totally.
It's an amazing mashup of the Western sci-fi done right. Thank you so much for coming on. I look forward to more. I look forward to everything you have coming down the pipe, and definitely would love to have you back on again tomorrow. You're always a pleasure.
Thank you. Until next time. Take care, guys.
See
Good
ya.
night,
Tamara.
everyone.